Welcome to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast with Arlene Washburn, the show where love industry professionals, coaches, and matchmakers come to learn, grow, and elevate their craft. Each episode dives deep into the art and business of matchmaking, featuring expert insights, real-world strategies, and inspiring conversations designed to help you create meaningful connections and lasting success. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting your journey, this is your space to be mentored, motivated, and moved to make a difference in the world of love. Now here's your host, Arlene Washburn.
Welcome to the Matchmaker Mentor Inner Circle Expert Q&A. I'm Arlene Washburn, founder of the Love Pro Mastermind Academy and the IMC board. And this is the monthly session where we bring experts from outside the matchmaking industry to give you the kind of perspective that sharpens how you run your business. And today we are talking about YouTube. And I want to be clear about why this matters for matchmakers specifically. Most of your potential clients have never worked with a matchmaker before. They do not know what the process looks like, what it costs, whether it's right for them. YouTube gives you the opportunity to answer all those questions before they ever reach out. And that is amazing to have that kind of content strategy. So, of course, I had to bring my guest who is incredible. She's built her career helping businesses grow through YouTube in a way that actually converts. She's the founder of Yes Flicks and a YouTube business growth mentor who understands that views are not the goal, clients are the goal. Please welcome Vicki O'Neill.
Thank you so much, Arlene. It's so good to be here with you, and I really appreciate that introduction.
Well, I'm sure you're going to fill in some blanks here because I have to say secretly, I have a YouTube channel that I want to grow. And so I'm always inviting guests that I'm interested in learning from as well. But you and I have had this discussion before, and I personally did not see the value in YouTube in the past. I was using YouTube like a video storage place. And then I don't remember what article I read. And then I remember having you on the podcast before. And you convinced me that, oh my gosh, this is important, but there's so much that goes into really optimizing your YouTube and all of that. So I definitely want to jump into all of that with you. What would you say to matchmakers who, by and large, are not on YouTube? What are they missing why should they be on there?
Yeah, that's a great question because a lot of people, whether they're matchmakers or even in other industries, it's a common question. They spend a lot of their time on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and some even on TikTok, but they look at YouTube as a platform or a channel where they might need to invest a lot of time in order to create a video or build an audience or even find clients. And one of the biggest missed opportunities, and this is really important for matchmakers, because they're building relationships based on trust. And they're basing it on the emotional, not stability, but there's an emotional component there that's really important for connecting a matchmaker with a potential client. And so YouTube is a platform where you can actually create that and have your videos sitting there publicly for your potential clients to find. And through the video content that you're creating, that's going to allow you to answer the questions that they're likely asking, but they just haven't found the right person that is answering it for them or in a way that they feel comfortable with how that person's actually delivering the information. And so creating the content and having the videos on your channel may sound like a lot of work, but it's the type of content that gives and gives and gives. It just compounds over time. So
Yeah.
it's a huge opportunity there.
Agreed. I was going to actually, you sort of led me into some of the questions that have been submitted. And that is, how should matchmakers think about like the distinction of what content to create specifically for YouTube? Is it different from what they're using somewhere else, etc.?
Yeah, I would say that if you're using content on any of the other platforms, you can take that same message and replicate it on YouTube. Now, video, of course, is completely different than typing up a text post and putting an image on any one of the platforms, but the message is there. and it can be transferred over to YouTube just in a video format. So it does take some time. And there's like to just create a video and post it or publish it and just hope that you get somebody to view it and then ultimately to convert and say, hey, yes, I want to have a conversation with you, or even, yes, I want to work with you. There is some, there's a way to actually create the videos that's going to not only get the reach, but get people to click on your video, watch your video, and then ultimately help them take action to say yes to that next step in working with you. But that's one of the best things that you can do, is that if you're already creating content for these other platforms, then yes, we can definitely take that and we can repurpose it on YouTube. It's just creating the videos, and you can even refer people back to your preferred platform. So if you prefer to be on Facebook, then in your videos that you're creating on YouTube, you may want to direct people to follow you on Facebook or maybe join a Facebook group. And that's all part of the strategy and how you package a particular video.
I recently launched a visibility challenge, a 15-day visibility challenge for my students, and there's a couple who have just completely knocked it out of the park. Shout out to Tony at Denver's Cupid and Shayna Tibby at Shayna Connects. They have been doing every single one of those videos, and they received a prompt every day, and the content was specifically geared towards helping their potential clients understand what the business is, how it works, and who's their ideal client. Like, it's just a series of things. And I mean, they have done such a great job, and those are great for shorts. Now, what is your take on long form? Should they be doing long form on YouTube or just stick with the shorts? Because I keep hearing through the grapevine that shorts are what's being prioritized right now by YouTube.
Yeah, and I would say both for that reason. YouTube Shorts are being prioritized right now, but the long form content is what's going to give you the flexibility to not feel like you always have to be creating content. So shorts have a shelf life, essentially, depending on, how much views they get. Every single video and wherever they're being placed on YouTube, they all have different algorithms. But the YouTube Shorts algorithm, it's going to try it faster to get out to more people. And then depending on how people are receiving it, whether or not they're watching it, they're engaging with it, that will determine whether or not they push it out more. Very similar to like Instagram Reels and TikTok. The beauty of the longer form content is that when you publish it, it's evergreen. So if your matchmakers are wanting to create video content and they're looking at maybe their top 5 frequently asked questions, go through and say, okay, here's the question. That would be the first thing I would tell anybody is, what's the most frequently asked question that you get? Then I want you to answer it. If it's what do I expect when I come to work with you? Or what is it like to work with you? Or what is it exactly that you do? Whatever those questions are, to create that video. And then when you publish it on YouTube, we're essentially allowing a multi-billion-dollar company to do the marketing for us forever.
Yeah.
And so I pulled this up right before we talked because I wanted to have the most recent statistics. My main channel on YouTube, which I haven't intentionally posted anything on for 6 months. I've switched and I've gone different directions, and I'm not telling anybody about my other channels because I want the algorithm to work for me and create case studies, along that way. But my main channel, which was talking about how to create a YouTube channel, how to make money on YouTube, how to edit videos, like all of those things. So the last time I posted a video was 6 months ago. That's a long time, especially if your main platform is YouTube. So what's interesting is that here is in the last 28 days, you can see the top videos got over 800 views.
84, yeah.
That's in the last 28 days. I haven't done anything with my channel.
That's amazing. That's an evergreen piece.
Yeah. And then in the last 48 hours, 123 views of my videos.
That's amazing.
And so again, I'm not doing anything. I'm not out there. I'm not playing the games like you need to on LinkedIn or Facebook, or, go out there and like comment on other people's videos and go find video or channels to subscribe. Like,
yeah,
you don't need to do that on YouTube. You publish your content in a way that's going to attract people, package it with the thumbnail, the title, the hook, and, the structure of the videos. And then you walk away. So essentially, it sounds like you might need to spend a lot of time creating videos, but it's like once you've created this asset and you've published it on YouTube, then you've got a multi-billion-dollar company doing the work for you to market it to the people who need
That's
it.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And I, one of the things, and I'll go into the questions because we had some questions submitted, but, and anybody who's in the audience, I see Tony and Nadine are in the audience, and actually both of them are really good with video. And who else is in here? I can't.
Applauding them and the people who are doing your visibility challenge. I was smiling. I'm like, I love it.
No, I'm telling you, they've done a phenomenal job, and I'm gonna redo it and have everybody else do it because the prompts are really good about getting the right information out. So before we jump into questions, I think Olena's there, and I have one of her questions. Let's just go step by step. I've noticed that the thumbnail is a big deal. Any
Number one.
advice? Yeah, that is the number one thing. And I'm observing my own behavior because basically I don't watch TV anymore. I just watch YouTube.
Mhm.
And the thumbnail has to do something to get you to want to, view the thing. So what is it that the thumbnail needs for people to get views?
Yeah. It's so funny because you're thinking, I can make a thumbnail on Canva. How can that be the most important thing about my video? But you said it exactly. When you're viewing all of the different options on YouTube to watch, you're looking visually at what's capturing your attention. And so it's the emotional piece of a thumbnail that gets our attention. Essentially, it's the thumbnail should close a curiosity gap. So if you're, curious about you're going to visit a new place and you're wanting to know like what are the top 10 places I should visit while I'm here, you're going to do that search and then you're going to look through the thumbnails to see who's got the most interesting thumbnail that looks like it might answer your questions. Maybe they've got different shots and maybe it's the way that they present it. So the thumbnail, you can spend all of this time on a video and I've got this great content. I talked about my process. I know this video is going to build trust because I've got a case. You've got all of this stuff, in your video and you're like, I've spent time working on the title. I've got this compelling hook. And then you throw together a thumbnail. Everything else doesn't matter because the thumbnail is what's going to capture someone's attention. So what I have my clients do is I want them to design the thumbnail first. So it sounds counterintuitive because you think, okay, well, I'm going to create my video first. I'm going to come up with the title. Then I'm going to create my thumbnail as kind of like an afterthought.
Yes, which is what I've been doing. Yes.
I was doing that too for the longest time. And then I was listening to these other people, over 1 million subscribers on their YouTube channel. And they've been doing this for like 15 years. And it made sense. And then there was a lot of testing that went into that as well. And it was proven. But if anybody wants to go and just go to Mr. Beast.
Yeah,
if you're not familiar with him. Yeah, he's the number one YouTuber in the world.
Yeah.
And he actually hires individuals who that's all they do is create thumbnails. And he spends hundreds of thousands of dollars per video to actually create these thumbnails. Now, again, if you go look at his channel, he's very extreme with the type of content that he creates. And he's built up to that, of course.
Right.
But if he places that kind of importance and that much investment in that piece of your YouTube video, that means the rest of us need to pay attention to that, even if we are using Canva and we're creating it ourselves.
So to that point, I heard that you shouldn't have more than 5 words on your thumbnail.
Correct.
Is that true? Okay. So
Yeah.
5 words.
I always tell people 2 to 4.
2 to 4. Okay.
Yeah. And so you want to keep it simple, but interesting, and it should complement your title. So I know some individuals will be like, okay, well, I'm just going to put the title on my thumbnail or words from my title onto my thumbnail. And so when we think of psychology behind it and like how we actually determine the videos to watch, kind of like what you were saying earlier, Arlene, is you're like, I'm looking to see which ones. And your thumbnail is going to create the curiosity. So put, how as few words as possible that's going to get the point across, that's going to get them to want to look at the title.
Mhm.
They're going to look at the thumbnail, and if it creates that curiosity where they're like, I think this video is going to give me the information I want, they're going to look at the title. And if the title complements it and they're like, okay, that's further validation that
Yeah.
this video is going to deliver what I want, then they're going to click on it. Keep in mind, all of this is happening within split seconds.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Then the third piece is the hook, which is the
Right.
first. In longer form videos, it's, it can be 8 to 10 seconds. With shorts, it's like 1 to 2 seconds. So within those first, 1 to 2 seconds, you need to deliver on what the thumbnail and the title said you were going to give them. And
On the
so,
video, you have to say something, that's the hook, and that's the thing that gets them in. So
yeah,
if you're doing a video and maybe there's kind of a result at the end, do you start with the result first? That's the hook?
you
And
can,
explain?
or
Yeah.
or you come up with something, you ask a question, use
Mm.
have like a polarizing statement,
Mm.
share a stat that might be completely, it sounds unrealistic, but it's accurate. Something that might not be perceived as true. So, for example, if it's, and I don't know the stats, I'm totally making this up for everybody who's listening. If the stat was that 54% of women use matchmakers to, find their future husband or future partner, and then but people are thinking it's a lot higher. Maybe they thought it was like, or, lower or whatever.
Mhm.
And you start with that statistic, like over half of the female population uses a matchmaker to find their future partner. You say it faster, but you're using that stat. That's going to capture somebody's attention. So it's true, but it's something that they may not have thought about at the time. And that might be something that's going to capture their attention. And then you continue to fulfill that promise that you made and that you validated in the hook.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then as far as the title goes, I think you have a limit up to 100, but should you use the full 100? Should you put the episode number if you have a podcast, or should you even include your name? Like, does it have to have SEO? I mean, this stuff kind of drives me crazy and I get nerdy about it, but like,
Yeah.
what are all the things that go into this title?
Yeah. So the title, the biggest thing with the title is the optimization piece. So the keywords that you want people to find that video on. And I say you definitely don't need to use, and don't use all 100 characters.
Okay.
Think about how many characters. I'm trying to think of what it is. I think it's like 52 characters.
That
And of
fit
course,
on that.
it's going to depend on screen size too. Obviously, on your phone, it's going to be fewer. And then if somebody's looking on a TV, they're going to see more.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll want to put the keywords closer to the front of the title, and don't use filler words.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, what would be an example of a title that you would have used
You
recently?
now look at my YouTube as a disaster. I have to do a whole revamp. um, so
What would be a topic, so I can share like what is the possible, and it
so
may not be one that you're using, but maybe one that matchmakers would use, like a topic.
I don't know. I have people in the audience. Give me a topic while I look up something else over here, because I want to go. I don't want to run out of time without answering questions for folks, because I
Okay.
think this is super important to
Mhm.
understand that piece. So try to minimize the amount of words that you use and do a hook. I think I
Yeah.
did an episode about client contracts, for example,
Mhm.
and because matchmakers, this is a big piece of their business, is making sure that they have the appropriate contract for the individuals that they're working with, and
Mhm.
based on where they are and all this stuff. So it could get very complicated. So that
Mhm.
would be one as an example.
So you could say something like, simplify your client contract in 10 minutes or in 3 pages or whatever that is.
Hmm.
Because if they're typically looked at as being complicated, you're saying, hey, we're going to simplify it, and maybe provide a template, or maybe provide guidance, or maybe provide an attorney for them to use, whatever that looks like. Obviously, it needs to be true, but in a
Right.
way that's going to help attract them. But then also say, oh my gosh, client contracts are so difficult. She's going to simplify it, and she's going to do it in less than 10 minutes, in 3 pages, or whatever it is. I got to watch this.
So yeah, I love that, because you also kind of brought another question to mind, which is most people don't have a huge following. So their goal is to get people on a list or get people to sign up for something.
Mhm.
What should you be including in the description in order for you to get those signups?
Mhm.
Is it a lead magnet? And for those listening, something that you give away or some sort of freemium, or maybe it's, I don't know, should that be just verbalized in the video or should it be something in the links in your description?
Yeah, I would say both.
Okay.
And the action, that always have some type of action that you want them to take because you've captured their attention and you want to keep them in your world.
Okay.
So ideally, you want to give them a lead magnet, a call opportunity to connect with you, something that's going to get them on your email list, um, and keep them in that funnel, essentially, of how you've got that created. Um, and always put the link. So let's just say it's a lead magnet,
Hmm.
whatever the link is, make sure that it's in those first two lines of the description of the video.
Oh.
So that, and the reason being is that a lot of times people aren't going to click the more link to see everything else that's in your description. There could be people who are like, I'm going to, and I do this all the time with videos where I'm like, I'm going to start playing this because I don't want to lose it, but I don't have time to watch it right now. So it
Hmm.
goes into my history that I can go and watch it later. But if I'm like, I just want to see the first couple of minutes of this and see what it's all about. And they're like, oh my gosh, I really love what Arlene's saying right now. Oh, she's got a link where I can get this lead magnet. Cool. They don't have to do anything. It all happens very quickly. And it serves as a reminder that you have some sort of free resource or an asset or something that they can do to take that next step on their journey, keeping it super simple, super simple.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, you're just keeping it streamlined. Also, when I said do both, like have it in the description and also say it in the video. So you want to make sure that you say within the first 30 seconds of a long form video. Typically, I mean, the shorts you really don't need to have call to actions because those are more like to get interest and get watch time and that sort of thing and get them to watch your longer form videos. But in the longer form videos, within the first 30 seconds or so, you want to mention your lead magnet, but you want to do so in a way that's natural and not like, hey, by the way, it's so if you've got like 10 dating tips that you want to share with somebody and you're talking about, we'll go back to the client contract. So you've got the client contract and you're like, maybe you have a template that they can use. So in the first 30 seconds, you're talking about, we've got that, I'm going to help you simplify the client contract within 3 pages. And before we get started, go ahead and click the link in the description. I've already created a template for you that you can use. And in fact, if you click it now, we can go ahead and walk through it together.
So good. So good. Yeah.
You talk about it naturally and you want to help them say, oh my gosh, I've got to click this now. Oh, she's going to walk me through it. Great. Let's do this together.
I
And then
love
they're on your email list.
Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me jump into one of the questions I have here. One of our members asked for a high-end relationship-based business targeting successful men. What YouTube strategy actually converts viewers into paying clients and not just views? How do you approach content for a premium, trust-dependent service like matchmaking? Because I
Great
think,
question. Yeah.
yeah, I just want to add real quick my opinion on this. And I think a lot of matchmakers believe that because matchmaking is a premium service,
Mhm.
that maybe YouTube is not the type of platform that will garner those people, maybe more LinkedIn and so forth. But I don't agree, but I want to hear your take on that.
Yeah. So 2 things. You're right. I mean, obviously, it is a premium service. People who are looking for matchmakers may not be spending all of their time on YouTube. They're probably spending time on LinkedIn and Facebook, maybe even Instagram. But what they're doing is they're getting familiar with who the matchmakers are and the type of content. But what they're doing is they're going to YouTube to search for you, to look for that information, to learn about who you are as a person, what type of person you might be to actually work with, and also to get the answers to the questions that they may not want to ask you yet. And
Mhm.
so YouTube is actually a premium platform. It's not social media. And I've got this chart that I share in different trainings and stuff where I talk about like you've got different tiers and like the basic tier, the foundation of your content, of your business, of your marketing is social media. And social media is your Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. TikTok kind of falls into two different categories, but I think of social media as like the platforms where you can DM people, right? So you can have conversations with people. You can't do that with YouTube. YouTube, podcasting, writing a book, those are like your second level platforms. Those are ones that, and the reason why I say that is because a lot of people don't want to try them. They're more difficult to create. It's more time intensive, but
Mhm.
they're more valuable. People who create podcasts, they are doing that. It obviously takes more time, but you're tapping into a different audience. The same thing is true with YouTube. And so people are watching YouTube videos to really find out who they can trust, who is going to be able to help them the most, and who else have you helped that might also be like me. And so it really is a premium platform, but it all comes down to the content that you create and the way that you deliver it that's going to help those people who are looking for it when they're ready to do so. So if you were just going to start a channel right now, like if you don't have a channel, you've never believed in YouTube and you're like, wait, I need to do this, create your videos first before you do your channel. But once you've got, let's just say 5 videos up that are answering those frequently asked questions, you've posted them there, and then maybe you just forget about it. People are watching you on LinkedIn, they're watching you on Facebook, and they may not even be interacting with your content. And we all have this happen regardless of our business. They see what we're doing, then all of a sudden they pop up in your DMs and are like, hey, I've been watching your content for a while. I really want to have a conversation, right? So it happens all the time. And so we have to think that way of like, okay, if people are watching us on LinkedIn and Facebook, they're going to want to know more about us. And so the videos that we create are just going to help build that trust faster. And you're giving them a reason to basically either filter themselves out or pre-qualify themselves before they get on the phone with you. It does a lot of that work for you. If somebody reaches out to you on LinkedIn, they send you a DM and they seem kind of like, like this isn't a good fit. And even if you're not sure, you could be like, hey, can I send you, a link to one of my videos on YouTube? And it'll help you understand who I am, how I work, um, what my client contracts are like, that whole thing. So there's ways that you can bridge the gap between what you're doing today and then really leverage YouTube as a way to help build the trust without you actually having to build the trust on a daily basis, right? So you don't have to show up constantly. You can refer people there and people can find you over there as well on their own.
I love it. And a good example of a topic, it's myths about working with a matchmaker that Nadine of Matchmaking Nashville put into the chat, which I think is a great one because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about our industry.
Mm-hmm.
So having something like that would really dispel a lot of myths and so forth. And then I have a question here.
What was the topic again? It was like, what do you expect in working with a matchmaker? What is it? Like, what was the topic?
She put in myths about working with a matchmaker because
there's all kinds of videos you can make on that.
Oh my gosh.
You could go the myths, you could go the truths, you could go facts, you could use statistics, you could use case. Like there's a lot of different just with that one topic alone.
Yeah. I know. There's just so much content to be had there. And then I can actually show these on the screen, but I have a question from Denver's Cupid. I regularly post it to YouTube for the visibility challenge. Views range from four views to 1.2 thousand,
1,200.
Mm-hmm. Wondering if it's the time of day or other factors. That's a great question.
Yeah, it actually is a very good question. So I would test it out and look at the one that got, and I've done this before too on my channel. So if you go to my Vicki O'Neill channel, you'll see that on my shorts. It's like some got like single digit views and then others, like I've got one that got 93,000 views. And it's like, why? And that 93,000 view video, I posted 3 times.
Oh.
Like different, like months apart. But I was like, I did a 30-day challenge for myself. And I'm like, I'm going to post a video every day for 30 days. Like, can I do this? And so that was one of the videos. I was just like, I was getting to the point where I'm like, I don't want to keep creating videos. Let me just repurpose some content I already have. And so I took a video, and this is going to answer his question too. is that when you're creating your videos, you have to think about the thumbnail that you want on that video. And so a great example of this is to go to YouTube when we're done with this call and just pull up YouTube and look at the YouTube shorts. Don't view any of them. Just look at what's on the screen and then look at the title. And so the way that you title YouTube shorts and the thumbnail, which is from your video, which is why you have to plan it ahead of time, so you can plan what frame you want to have as your thumbnail, look at what they're using and why you would want to click on them. And again, it goes back to that whole psychology of the visual that we're creating. And so going back to my example, so it was a video I created where I was sitting at a desk. I wasn't talking. It was just B-roll. And then I put, I think it was like 15 video topics that you can talk about. And then I think it was like at the beginning, it was like, you don't want to do that. It was like, you don't were the first two words. The first time I posted it, I think I got like 78 views, and I had a different thumbnail where I had too much of the words on screen.
Oh, okay.
And so people could see what it was already about, so they're not going to click on it. Then when I posted it and it got the 93,000 views, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop the thumbnail at the "you don't." See what happens. Exact same video, posted it again, everything else the same. That got the 93,000 because people are like, "You don't what?"
Oh,
Like
so it's the intrigue.
like, "You don't what?" Like it was the intrigue, right? So you kind of have to think through not just the topic that you're talking about, but what text do you want to have on screen? And then what is that thumbnail that you want to pull out from that short when you go to post it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another question. I actually can put these on the screen. I'd love for any tried and true methods for attracting more visibility, acknowledging that it's not about followers. I have a solid program yet can't seem to get a lot of interest on what's the rest of it?
Probably
My
content.
YouTube videos. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is, I think you hit on that though. It's not about the number of subscribers. So I've had clients, and then I've seen other people post about their clients where they post their first video and they get clients. It comes back to the structure and the packaging of your video and having that lead magnet available to them. Right. And then I've seen people who've got like less than 1,000 subscribers, like become millionaires from their YouTube channel only. So it comes down to, it's not about the subscribers. It comes down to the videos that you're creating, how you're creating them, and then the lead magnet that you have associated with that.
Well, that lead magnet right up front, that's a game changer. I'm gonna go back and redo a bunch of stuff. This is Nadine. She said I was sharing just to see if that was a good title, and the title was "Myths About Working with a Matchmaker." I think it's a good title. But what do you think, Vicki?
Yeah, I love that title. When you do things like myths or truths, or even like look at polarizing topics. So let's see here, working with a matchmaker. You could even do like a versus,
Mm-hmm.
almost look in your thumbnail could be that too, like apps.
Yeah.
The dating apps versus the matchmaker. I mean, you could have a lot of fun with that thumbnail. You could look like a nightmare, right? Which would be the dating apps. And then working with a matchmaker would be like peaceful and zen, so you could do something like that too, where it's just the visual demonstrates what they could actually get, but it's going to create a lot of curiosity because people might actually be using dating apps. And I've heard a lot of nightmares from people. Well, I had them forever ago. I would never get back on it, but the dating apps, there's a lot of nightmares associated with that. So people may not realize that matchmakers hiring a matchmaker may not be an option for them. That may be the perfect video for them when they're searching, like, I'm tired of dating apps. I want something different, and then that pops up and it'd be like, heck yeah, let me see what this is all about.
Yeah, that's good. And they do make that comparison, which is ridiculous. Okay, so we got a bunch of questions here. How often does a matchmaker need to post on YouTube to see real traction? What is realistically for a solo or small team business in terms of how often they post?
So the recommendation by YouTube, so this is the head of the algorithm, one video a week is all that's recommended.
Okay.
Long form. So those long form meaning typically they define it as anything over 5 minutes. I always tell people anything over 8 minutes. And the reason being is that if you want to monetize your content through the YouTube partner program where YouTube pays you, you can only monetize videos, the long form videos that are over 8 minutes, at least as of today.
Oh,
So yeah, so I would say make them long or at least 8 minutes long, once a week. That's all that you need to do. The short form videos, they recommend 3 a week. But
okay.
if that's the only type of content that you're doing, I would say do 1 a day.
So that's a good segue into this question that Nadine submitted. What are the requirements to monetize?
Yeah, that was a great lead in.
Mhm.
So monetizing through YouTube, so that's the YouTube Partner Program, you need to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 public watch hours within a rolling 365 days.
You said and, not or.
It's and.
Ugh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm nowhere near there, but okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
But I also think that if you have a lead magnet or you have a course or you have a service and
Mhm,
you have compelling content,
mhm,
regardless of whether or not you're able to reach those stats to make money with YouTube, you could
mhm,
still get clients
mhm.
just by putting the right content and connecting and then following up with these people once they connect with you.
Yeah, and that's what I focus on with my clients and even the videos on my channel where I say how to make money on YouTube. I don't think any of them, if I remember correctly, none of them talk about like how to use the YouTube partner program to make money. I know I mention it just to kind of reinforce, that there's a difference between what I'm talking about and the YouTube partner program. But you said it exactly, Arlene. You can make money, kind of like what I was saying too with the examples, is that you can make money with your first video. You
Hmm.
can have 0 subscribers because YouTube doesn't push your content out to people who are your subscribers. Your content sits there until someone's looking for it. So you can have thousands of views on a video and have 0 subscribers. That's a huge difference between YouTube and social media. Social media is just like when it happens to fall into your feed. YouTube is when I'm actively looking and want to make a decision.
Right. It's
Yeah.
more intent driven. Should matchmakers' YouTube content be educational, personal, or promotional, or some combination? And how do you find that balance?
I would say I would say it should be a combination. And the reason being is that you want to help people better understand who you are as an individual and what they might expect in working with you. So, and personal, I mean, that's up to you. And it depends on what you mean by personal. Like, are you going to vlog your day, meaning like your work day? Yeah, I think that's a great idea because they might want to know what it's like to work with somebody and what the rest of your day's like. Are you going to have time for them? What does that look like? But if you're going to like vlog and say, here's, my morning routine, here's what I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm taking my dog for a walk. I'm playing with my cats and my kid. You like, that might need to be a decision you want to make. If that's part of what you want your clients to know about you, then I would say, yeah, definitely include that. But if you're like, I just want to keep it professional, but I want to educate, I do want to show them a day in the life of my work. I think that's a great thing to do. Yeah.
I had a colleague who was on the Matchmaker Mentor podcast, and he had worked for several of these platforms. And he said that for YouTube, he'll be doing something that has nothing to do with the topic. Like he might be cooking or doing something, and then just talking about whatever the topic is. But
Hmm.
the talking head is not always the thing that like some sort of activity. And then I started to notice a lot of stop the scroll where they're talking about something that's completely not relevant to what's going on, and it's some interesting video on the screen while the person's talking about something different. I'm just wondering, is
Yeah.
that too hokey, or is that something that makes sense as well for matchmakers?
Yeah, I would say try it, and you might find that those videos get more views.
Mm,
Um, I would say on the shorts, not the longer form videos, but the shorter form videos. It's a great place to be creative and to try different things because they don't last real long. So if you're like, the gentleman who'd mentioned earlier, like he got 4 views and then he got a lot of views. So that 4-view video, you can look that, the 4-view video, look at it and say, what about this video may not have hit? Was it the time of day? If you posted it at 8 p.m., maybe that wasn't ideal. Maybe try 6 p.m. because maybe your ideal audience is searching for your services at night, like after their workday, or maybe try it at 7 a.m. before their workday begins, or like around lunchtime. So I would say just try different things. But I have noticed that people that do that, where they're like, I don't know, that maybe they're playing with their glasses, or they're playing with their phone, but they're talking about like what they're actually, what they're doing, and they're educating at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it can work when you do it effectively.
Yeah.
I've done that before too, where and it worked really well, where I was cooking and I was doing like I was actually talking about how to do a 2-person conversation when you're playing both characters.
Mhm.
But I was cooking on one character, and then I was an observer, like, the other person was just sitting at the bar watching.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I had people say, what were you cooking? What was going on with the stove? It wasn't about like actually creating the conversation or writing the script. People were curious, and it generated engagement.
But that's a good one, because, we have matchmakers listening, dating coaches, and that would be interesting to do, showing, one side of the conversation, like imitating your clients on a date and that kind of stuff. And then
Those are so much fun to make. I love them.
they seem like a lot of work, though.
It's actually, you know what? And I do this for myself because I like to over dramatize customer pain points, because it gets people to laugh, and it kind of lets their wall down a little bit. Because when you laugh, your wall comes down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you can do something that's relatable, like you show up and it's like this nightmare of a date, depending on how you want to portray that, it can be a lot of fun. And creating that can actually be a lot of fun too. You just have to plan through it and script it out. But
Yeah.
I would encourage people to have fun with stuff like that, and just think of customer pain points. How can I over dramatize this in a way that's going to be interesting and fun, and maybe get people to laugh, and kind of mix that in with the other educational type content that you're making, and see what happens.
And referring back to Tony's comment about his, his stuff, so when you say try this, try that, are you saying repost it again, post it again in a different way? Like try a different, you don't have do we have thumbnails for shorts? I forget. You do, right?
You can choose the thumbnail from the video. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So is that what you're telling Tony to just because I saw all his videos from that visibility challenge, and they were all phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see which is the one that didn't get a lot of traction. But so you're saying you can go ahead and post it multiple times, and should you, as a general rule, keep posting multiple times or only post once?
You can post shorts multiple times.
Okay.
I would just say not do it like maybe within the same week or two. I would say
Okay.
if you're doing a 30-day challenge, maybe you could post it twice if one didn't perform, or even if one did perform, maybe try it again and see if you could get it to perform better. But like longer form content, you have to wait like maybe 3, 4, 6 months before you post it again. Otherwise, you'll get flagged by YouTube, because they're like, "Why are you sharing this again?"
Oh, interesting. And then the shorts disappear?
I'm sorry.
The shorts go away? They don't stay
No,
forever?
they stay there, but they just have a shorter shelf life. So I guess it's okay to do it that way.
All right, let me see if we have any other questions in the audience here. What are the requirements? Okay, we talked about that. So let me go back to my list. One thing I did want to ask is, when you do a long form video and you put together the description, so we now know that any lead magnet should be front and center.
Mhm.
However, in a description, does it have to start with a hook? Like, are the 2 first lines the most important? Like, what are the rules about the description piece that people should know for long form?
Yeah, the description, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on it. Just those first 2 lines where you're talking about your lead magnet. After that, I would say if you just want to do like, general overview or high level, what they can expect, like maybe 2 to 3 sentences max.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would put timestamps in your description.
Okay.
What's important about that is not so timestamps are when you're looking at a video, and if you see that there's like different points on that red line, when you're viewing the video, you can see that there's kind of like the marks. Those
Hmm.
are timestamps. And so those are really helpful when people are searching for that particular topic. So it gives you another opportunity to optimize your video. So an example would be if we were talking about the misconceptions of working with a matchmaker. So looking at that, maybe you're talking about three different things that, people are misperceiving about working with a matchmaker. And the first one is it's too expensive. So maybe the first one is I'm trying to think of like what a good it's almost like a title of a video. So it could be matchmakers are
Or
cost efficient, or find out whatever that word might be to help people understand that what they might be searching for. Are matchmakers expensive to work with? That might be one too, and then you answer the question in that segment. So that's important too, because what'll happen is when people are searching on Google and even in ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, because all of these videos now are starting to show up in the LLM search results. And so we have to think of that too. But if they're looking for that, and the one thing that they're searching for is, are matchmakers expensive to work with? When that video pops up, it's automatically going to default to that part of the video. It's not going to give you the entire one in the search results, so that when you click on it, it's going to start from that point where you're talking about it.
got it. Okay.
So there's it's just something to think about, with that as well.
There's a good question in the audience here, but before we go there, you mentioned LLMs, and I think a lot of people now are they're doing their searches on ChatGPT, Claude, because I know YouTube used to be the number 2 search engine, second
Mhm.
to Google, obviously owned by the
Yeah.
same company.
Yeah.
And then now I'm finding, even myself, I'm always on ChatGPT, even if I'm out and about, it's on my phone. If
Yeah.
I have a question,
Mhm.
so is there something you can do to optimize for your videos to come out on that? I think you kind of alluded to that, but just to solidify that fine point there, is it keywords? Is it tags? What are we doing to make
Yeah,
that?
it's more the keywords and
Okay.
just thinking through. So, YouTube and Google, mostly Google, how people are searching for things, it was a little bit different than how we're using LLMs and
Hmm.
like ChatGPT, even like voice. So we're talking more naturally in trying to find the information that we're looking for. And so when you're creating your titles or you're creating your chapters, which I need to go back to that, I didn't finish the description. There's one more thing I want to talk about. When you're creating those, think through like, how will this show up in search results if someone's saying that matchmakers are too expensive to work with? What does that sound like when someone's searching in an LLM versus on Google? So I think that's just really important. Now we're at the very, very beginning stages of videos showing up in the LLM search results, but those who have already created videos are the ones who are going to be prioritized because they're already showing organic traffic. And
Right.
so the LLMs are still going to be looking for that. They're not going to look for just random videos. They're going to look at the ones that, are getting the clicks. And so if that's something that you're thinking about, which we all should be, because it's already here and it's escalating quickly, um, what's going to hold you back from starting now versus starting a month from now? You're already going to be kind of a month behind on getting that traction if you don't get started now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And what was the other thing you said you were going to go back to about the
Oh, so
description?
yeah, I forgot to go back to the description. So the other one other thing I wanted to mention there, because I talked briefly about how you can tie like YouTube and Facebook or YouTube and LinkedIn together. So at the bottom of your description, that's where you can put like the main platform that you spend time on. So if it's on Facebook or LinkedIn, just put like, 1, 2, maybe even 3 lines of like what you do, who you work with, and where else people can connect with you, because people are going to want to reach out to you. But again, YouTube, you can't send DMs, right?
Right.
You can only click links and you can leave comments, which is, you want to encourage people to do that as well. But if you want people to have a way to connect with you beyond them submitting their email address, then share your social media channel, at least one of them.
Yeah. And I also noticed recently that you can collaborate. So you can sort of tag on YouTube where that didn't exist before. And
Exactly.
if
Yeah.
someone uses a platform, right, you can actually leverage that as well.
Yeah, so you can, and what's really cool about that, besides having a collaborator, on a video with you, is that the stats associated with that video gets contributed to that collaborator as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if your video, you and I collaborated on a video, and your video got 100,000 views, and I'm a collaborator, I also get credit for those 100,000 views.
Nice. Okay. Now you got to get strategic about who you invite to be on your
Exactly. Are you going to hurt me or help me?
So Tony asked, any thoughts with your channel's cover image, which is such a great question because I've struggled with that. And
Mhm.
it's to just further on that question is because you have all these different sizes
Yeah.
that are for the phone versus what shows up on the computer. It's
Yeah.
such a rigmarole.
Yeah, I actually created a template because I was getting frustrated every time I wanted to create mine, because I'm just like, I would create like 5, 6, 10 before it was like actually centered and it was like showing up on all the different screen sizes. So I created a template that simplified it. So, I've got it blocked off and people can use it.
Nice.
If you want me to send that to you, I'd be more than happy to share it with you.
We'll link it for you. That's your lead magnet right there. We will make sure to add that to the show notes. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll make it super simple. But I will say that to keep in mind, just like what you were saying really early in our conversation, Arlene, is that you're watching videos now like instead of watching TV, you're watching YouTube. And you might be watching it on your phone, but are you also watching it on your
Oh,
big screen TV?
on my TV. That's all.
Yeah.
I don't watch the news anymore. I used to be a news junkie. I have my little algorithm on
Yeah.
YouTube.
We created it, right? We only want to watch what we want to watch. So, clicking on someone's channel name is going to show up differently on the TV now than it would on your phone or on a laptop. So the template I have has that space created as well. So it'll help out with that.
Okay, that'll be amazing. Let's see. So I wanted to ask also about tags and how important is that, and what are the guidelines for creating tags?
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody really talking about this. I haven't seen any impact. I've added tags, I've not included tags. I haven't seen any difference in like the exposure or the reach that my videos get. And even like people who work at YouTube, they're kind of like, well, they don't really serve a purpose anymore, but since it's still there, I'm just going to put something in there.
Oh, okay.
So I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out what words to include, but just, include the relevant ones to that particular video. And then I would just move on. I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it.
Okay. And then in terms of like what's a strong call to action to use on YouTube that would be great for matchmakers? Because I've noticed I have a few podcasters that I follow,
Mhm.
and they all have huge followings, and I always notice that they always mention to give us a follow, or they'll tee up a topic and then pause and say, before we jump into it, make sure you like and subscribe and blah blah blah, and which I'm terrible at, so I need to get better at that. But what would be the best way to go about it? What would be a good call to action for matchmakers to use?
Yeah, so on YouTube, it's all about watch time. So the best thing that you can do, so at the end of a video, like saying like and subscribe, that doesn't work anymore.
Okay.
What you will see people doing is at the end of a video, instead of saying, hey, like this video and subscribe, they'll tee it up for another video on their channel.
Mm.
So if you're talking about, the 5 mistakes most people make in hiring a matchmaker, and you've done the 5th one and you're wrapping it up, but if maybe your 5th one was talking about, maybe it's leading into client contracts, and you've got a video on client contracts. So did the 5th, tip, and then you're just like, okay, we're talking about all this. Now, if you're ready, the next thing that you're going to want to know about is the client contract. In fact, I've got a video that's talking about that. So go ahead and click right here, and I'll see you over there.
That's
Yeah,
great.
you just teed it up, and now you've given them a link, because when you're uploading your video, it gives you an option to put videos as their next step. And so when you do that, you're giving them an option to go to that next step, stay in your world, which is where they're going to learn to trust you more. They're going to learn more about you. And you're creating a really seamless process for them to learn more instead of having to go search and find and, do all of these things. So just making it super simple for them to say, oh my gosh, I need to binge watch this content because she's giving me so much information. I just have to know more.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see even because I was going to ask you about the playlist. Like I could see matchmakers, let's say, who are working with men and women and giving different content to each and having a playlist for women or
Mm-hmm.
things like that. What are your thoughts about playlists? Are they worthwhile utilizing, or is that just a frivolous thing?
No, it's really helpful. It gives you another opportunity to optimize, but it also gives you an opportunity that if you're having a conversation with somebody in the DMs on LinkedIn and they're really curious about what it might be like, what the process might be like after they make that initial payment or make that payment, or like, okay, we're going to work together. What can I expect after I say yes to working with you? You're like, oh, great question. I've got a few videos. I'm going to send you a link, and that link goes to that playlist.
Mm.
Now they've got access to all the videos associated. And then you've even taken it a step further to say, here's what you can expect on our first call together. So you've done all of this due diligence, but you've packaged it nicely where they don't have to think, they don't have to search. And it's the same link that you can send to people who ask all the time. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to try and figure out what you typed up last time. You've got a playlist that you can just send the link, and you're being overly helpful with people who are genuinely interested in working with you.
Yeah, and if you have automation in your DMs, you could do that too.
Yes.
and
Super simple. Yes.
I have two more questions. One is, what is the single biggest mistake you see service-based businesses make on YouTube that kills their growth before it starts?
They don't have a content strategy. So
Mm.
they go on there and they start uploading videos just haphazardly and don't really know what they're doing. They just upload and move on, upload and move on. So not giving enough, like I want to say, dedication or focus on the topic and then how to structure their videos that's going to serve the purpose as to why they have that video on there to begin with.
Okay, that's really good. And I guess we'll have to have you come back and talk about strategy, or people are just going to have to reach out to you and come up with a strategy, because I'm sure that's content pillars plus a bunch of other things.
I would say the easiest thing there, just to make it super simple for everybody, your content strategy is going to be the questions your clients ask you. Yeah.
Mic drop right there. And if a matchmaker is starting from zero today, what are the first three things they should do to set their channel up for success?
I would say to create your videos first. Well, before you do that. So again, back up, thumbnails, know your topics, create your thumbnails, know your titles, and then record your videos. And I would say have 3 videos at least already ready to upload before you create your channel. And the reason being is that I've had people who create their channels and then they don't end up doing any videos. And so then their channel just sits there. And it's like with anything else, like, can you imagine like creating a LinkedIn profile and not posting anything? Or creating a Facebook page and never posting anything? The same thing happens. It just starts to collect dust, and the algorithm comes and it's like, it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have anything. And then finally it's just like, yeah, we're not even going over there. There's nothing over there anyway, so you planning it out ahead of time and just knowing like what your topic's going to be, what your videos are going to be. And then once you know what those are, they're recorded, they're ready to upload, create your channel, then upload it, and not worry about subscribers. Worry about getting people to watch your videos and come up with a strategy with how you're going to do that.
This has been incredibly valuable, and I know our members are walking away with a lot of clarity about what to do. And I think we all recognize that YouTube is a real business tool and that everyone should have it, because it frees up your time to be able to send links, as you mentioned before. It really gives people an opportunity to see you in these long form videos and get a flavor for who you are and how you communicate and all of that, and then to be able to share important content that they need to know so they're ready to go before they even hire you. So I cannot thank you enough, Vicki, for coming on board. And of course, we're going to share your contact with everyone, but please let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, the best place to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn. That's where I spend the majority of my time. So it's just my name, Vicki O'Neill, and my picture looks like this. You'll have the right one. I'm sure you'll share the link too with them on how to.
Yeah, definitely. We will share the link on the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast. I think there was so much gold shared here, and I think this is important for everyone to know. And
Okay.
we're in this attention economy, so you got to have stuff out there if you're a business owner. And
Yeah.
thank you for those who showed up live.
I appreciate you having me again. And thank you for everybody who showed up live and asking such amazing questions. That was so great for you guys to be thinking through it and actually seeing how YouTube can benefit you. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, bye for now, everyone. Thanks for joining.
If today's episode resonated, make sure you're subscribed to the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast on YouTube and Spotify. New episodes are released weekly and are designed to support professional matchmakers who want to operate with clarity, structure, and integrity. You can also join our monthly industry brief, On the Radar, for ongoing insight into what's changing behind the scenes in professional matchmaking. Until next time, stay grounded in your standards, intentional in your systems, and committed to doing this work at a higher level. I'm Arlene Washburn, and this is the Matchmaker Mentor Podcast.